Hello, my name is Berim Smith. I'm a co-writer of my book. But who am I? Who am I to even know that I can write a book? Who am I? This is my introduction. Who am I? I was young as a little child, and I was always curious about life. I was always asking questions, but my parents didn't want to know the answer, or they didn't have the answer. So I got stuck in asking why and asking how and all those things I did when I was a little child. I never take an answer for granted, and I never take an answer if it is the truth. So I was always very frustrated that I didn't get the right answer, because I felt something different, and suddenly my parents always said, because that's why we know that, and no, because we tell you so. And it didn't get me satisfaction. So as a child, I was maybe ignoring my parents also, and I always asked those questions. Until my parents decided to buy or be a member of the Winkler Encyclopedia. And when the Winkler Encyclopedia came into our house, it was one big book with all kinds of knowledge. So I started reading, and then my parents told me, Berend, there are 24 books of this encyclopedia, and every 6 weeks, one book is coming out. So then I decided, 6 weeks, then I have to read this all. So I was reading the encyclopedia. But I didn't know what would happen with all those knowledge that I read. Later on in my life, I found out that most of the knowledge that I read kept into my mind. When I was talking later on, when I was with people, they were talking about some subjects, and I know it. I could talk with them, because I had somewhere hear it, but it was probably from reading the encyclopedia. Later on, I went to the military force. I'm a veteran. I'm a Lebanon veteran. Then I went to America. I was at the cruise lines, and start working there. Then I came on shore, and I lived in California. I have spent 10 years in America, because my curiosity never went away, and still is not away. And after studying all these things, philosophy, psychology, quantum physics, it keeps getting answers, because it has to do with life, who you are as a human. And I'm always thinking, when I was working as a troubleshooter, I was always thinking, I'm always lucky. I'm always lucky. So I was always lucky, because the things that I said and the things that I did came all true. So what I did, and so I was figuring out how I become so lucky all the time. That the things that I say, well, this is happening and this is happening, it all happened. Well, I found out that I did one thing always. I always looked at the end. Always look at the end. If I have to work on this and this and this, how would it be when the end result is? What is the end result? And I kept always the end result in my vision, in my thought. And then I found out, if you put your end result at a vision as something there is there, all the pieces of the puzzle fell into that end result. When I discovered that, and at the same time, I came to a bookstore, and I found a book, and it was Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. And I was intrigued by that book, and I started to use that book in my businesses. When I started to use that book in my businesses, it didn't give me all the satisfaction. People came with the higher results, but not always it sticked. It didn't stick to them. When I was gone, they fell back. So it was a little bit frustrating for me that you build up a company with the method of Think and Grow Rich, and people adapt that, but they don't go further. And if I'm gone or not doing things with it, they're falling back. So there must be something, I discovered, that there must be something why people fall back. And then I decided to use my knowledge of my study, use my knowledge of life, use my knowledge of my thinking, and put that into practice. People adapted. It was a way of living, but it was not written anywhere. So people ask me, Bernd, where we can find this, how we can read this, and where is it? I said, well, it is an own method. Yes, but it's working. Is there no book? And at that moment I decided to write my book. My book is written for you. I've met Diana, and alone I would never could write my book. So I've met Diana, and with Diana, my partner, we have written my book, and my book is written for you.